Hello,
everyone.
everybody.
We're live. We're this is and why do we do it? And I think this is like an archival, footage type. Well, not footage, but more like a record of us slowly going insane as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
Later when the killings start, they'll find this and be like, okay, this is like a diary. It's like we are a collective Anna Frank writing down our own thing. Talking to yourself, but there is another self, so it's not
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, so to start, I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing these, and kind of started, just, reminiscing a lot about when we were kids, talking about, the early days, and when,
Yeah.
just kind of, back when we were shitheads. So let's continue the tradition, and I want to ask you a question. From when you were a shithead,
Oh.
like a metalhead shithead,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. When you were one, what was your surrounding like? Did you have any shithead friends? Did you were you a part of a shithead collective? Did you
Do you
have
mean literally
maybe
when I was
maybe,
one, or do you just mean when I
well, I
was
mean,
little?
in your most metalhead moments, were you ever
Okay.
part of a metalhead scene?
Yeah. It was the same kind of weeaboo Cradle of Filth style guy, and I tried to
Just one
emulate him.
person?
Well, and then there was a guy who was my absolute best friend. Unfortunately, rather, I don't really talk to him anymore. It just reached that point where you don't hang on to most friends you have, and that's fine. I've accepted that by now. But point is, we just kind of drifted apart. But Jake was really into Iron Maiden and Megadeth and all the old school stuff. I hung out with him a ton, so there we go.
But you never were in a metalhead situation where you participate in metalhead activities, do stuff together.
Not really. We
I remember when I was at my most shithead metalhead situation, I would hang out a lot with people who were the same, who had the same interests, and we would all would form bands. You know how metalheads always do that? They form bands.
Oh yeah, and then never meet. Yeah, I did that.
Because you're all well, your case is slightly different because even then you were a musician. Because most of the time,
I was. They were like, "Well, we don't know what to do with Ben, so I don't know, man. What are you gonna do?" And then I was like, "I guess I'll do drums." And then it didn't matter. We never ever met up, and actually wrote music because we were fucking 7th and 8th graders. But
so it was even worse than what I had because our standards were meet up for actually get a place, get a a recording, well, not a recording studio, a rent a practice area, whatever. In practice, they would everyone would be oh, we need to get serious, we need to do this, and we would rent not 1 hour but 3. And then spend half an hour to an hour actually trying to practice something, and then have a break, and then that break would last until the end of it. But nobody would mind because they would have way more fun drinking and just talking shit.
Yeah.
And hanging out rather than actually trying to practice. See, I remember that quote by Dave Grohl of Nirvana, who was we were all just friends who hanging out together and playing music together, and that was the problem. We did all hanging out together, but none of us playing music together. Most of us, I don't think, even like playing music, so yeah. But that's the thing everybody does, all metalheads, we all get together, try to form bands because that's That's what you do.
Mhm.
And even if you're not a musician, you're like a musician now. Like you go like, but mom, I'm totally gonna be in a band. Buy me a guitar.
Oh man, I
That's like
remember.
best case scenario.
I
You
remember
could
one of
want
the dudes I
drums.
hung out with, like we, the like Weeaboo Cradle Filth one. Um, I remember we went to Guitar Center. We were with his mom, and he was looking at guitars, and she was like, and then of course she didn't buy him a guitar because drop down $200 to $500 minimum
I
just
don't quite
because.
understand that. Yeah.
And then, like, dude fucking pitched a fit the whole way home.
How old was that? How
That's
old were
that's the
they?
thing. He
Were
was
you?
like, he was at least 14, probably more like 15.
No. Well, that's not too criminal, but yeah, still.
It's not awful,
Yeah.
but it's still like you are definitely too old to be doing shit like that,
Yep. See, I feel like, well, you always want a good instrument, right? But
Well,
somehow I always like ended up feeling like, well, I have this instrument, be a cool musician, right? So I have to be able to pull off cool shit. Somehow I was always like lucky enough to not be quite as delusional to think I'm great.
mhm.
You know, like because I've seen those back when we were hanging out. You would like your friends would form bands, you would form bands, you would all hang out together. You'd like see each other, and you'd be like, "Well, our bit better, but you know." No, you're all shit. It's just some are better at something, but not quite really. I knew that was they were really into Tool,
Mm,
like I can tell now, remembering,
yeah.
and they would exclusively write songs with weird meter changes that didn't work. Correct, rather than like,
Yeah.
oh, cool meter
Rather than
change.
informed by
But
anything. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like random meter changes. But in my case, I was like into like, well, people in my band, we were all like, well, we love like old school, like pentatonic Led Zeppelin, like guitar solos and shit. So that's what
Mhm.
we did a lot, and I felt that's what we were good at. That's why we were better. But really, if I think about it, I'm pretty sure we were shit at that. We just thought we were good at it because we thought about it.
Oh,
True
let's see how it
story.
goes.
There was a guy I knew. There was a guy I knew who was really into Yngwie Malmsteen,
Oh.
and he was all about doing crazy solos. Except he was not good, but he did not know. Like he would go on stage and be like, oh, "I'm gonna fucking blow your mind apart."
Yeah.
Like
That
what he was
happens a lot.
trying to do. Yeah, see, but he didn't know. It's not like he watches that thing back and says, "Oh my god, it doesn't sound as good as I thought it did."
Mhm.
That's the thing that, oh shit, I'm actually not as good as I think I am.
Mhm.
But he would play, and then he would just stick to the idea of what he thinks he played, and cannot see that what he actually played was not as good. And just because that's what he thinks happened, you should also understand how great he is.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, isn't this idea great? Yeah, therefore I'm great. Well, first you gotta pull it off.
Yeah.
Like, no, just no. And that's kind of how it worked. But yeah, but no one ever like did anything. Like
Yeah.
I don't think a single person. Well, there is still a band of my friends that still do shit, but I don't think they're like got anywhere.
Legit. Yeah.
It's just too far. Like I think they did like a couple festivals or something, but they're the only people that are still active, and most people just quit doing anything like related to this because they realize that they never really cared to the point. When that's the case.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My phone case completely fell apart.
But what I'm saying is, I used to hang out with a lot of like fucking crazy metalhead people and go to places such as abandoned spaces.
See,
Did you ever do something?
no, because what you gotta remember is, first, I was a pussy. Still am, I would say. Second, I didn't have any money, so... Which, I guess we didn't really need to do because we had, like, my house, but... I would, like, set aside coins in a peanut butter jar, and then, like, after, like, a year, we would have, like, 6... like, microphone input thing, and, like, we didn't even know if it, like, fit with anything. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Like, because...
Just go on a limb?
Yeah, we didn't look it up. We were just like, hey, this little one's only, like, 40, 50 bucks. We can totally get that and this random ass microphone. And then later we find out that it doesn't even have, like, the standard, like, connector or the 3-prong XLR cable. Like, we did not know what we were doing. Like, I mean, Jake, I think, is doing all right. I don't know if he's still playing music. I know he has a kid and got married and all that. But
no,
he was genuinely, like, really, really good at guitar. Probably still is, at least as a hobbyist. But I mean, he was, like, the only one who was genuinely good at. Oh no! You just brought back a memory I suppressed.
Well, now you have to tell it.
We did record something. 3 songs. No drums. No drums. And it was the weeboo guy on bass and guitar. But he he wasn't actually a guitarist or anything. So we'll put it like that. He did a lot of opens and a lot of, like, first fret stuff. So Guess.
Play music? I'm not sure.
Well, we didn't have drums, and guitar and bass were taken care of. So what does that leave?
Well, are we, like, in a traditional sense?
Yeah.
Did you sing?
Yeah.
Well then.
Yeah.
Did you go extreme?
Really, really bad growls.
I knew it. I knew that you were a growler.
I will say, my growls were okay, but I was also in, like, 8th grade, so, like...
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, you can just... I got it. See, that's something I don't understand. I never understood why you have a band and you have a singer who's growling, unless he's for some reason is just really, really good at it. Like, he growls and you can, like, hear it and it's just like, wow, he growls like no one else, you know?
Yeah.
Or you have just, like, a straight up legit death metal band and you're just doing everything a death metal band is doing. I've seen that once. I went to, like, a random concert. It was just like a nobody band, but they were, like, just a stellar death metal. They're like, you know, like Skeleton Witch. Like, you're not wondering why Skeleton Witch has a singer screaming stuff. It's just like, well, that's what you expect out of them. So, yeah, but then you, like, see a band that's new and it's really kind of weird because they're Why are you growling? Is that just something you think is easy? You think that's cool? Anyway.
I mean,
Now that we've
I'm still trying to
talked
figure out
about how
what I'm gonna do when I record my actual thing with Nick.
yeah,
I have a more mature voice now, so I won't sound like an 8th grader who's trying to do a growl if and when I do growls. And I also realize it doesn't all have to be growls now. So, like, it's just gonna be... Obviously, it's gonna be a far superior product than what little shithead 8th graders were doing.
Yeah, you can actually sing right now. That's just that's just the truth. And I think, you know what could work for you really well? If you pretend to be Bob Dylan.
Are we talking like old school good Bob Dylan or modern Christmas album Bob Dylan?
I don't think I really know modern Christmas music Bob Dylan.
Who's the man in a big red hat? Santa's the man with a big red hat.
Okay, that's not even singing, really.
It's so bad. Oh boy.
Or here's a better example that you'll like. Leonard Cohen.
Leonard
I
Cohen?
think you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leonard Cohen. But not necessarily with that super deep voice, because no one has that fucking deep voice.
No, you don't get that voice until you're about to die.
Yeah, but I think like that whole idea is something you can do. No problem.
Yeah, and I am gonna for one of the tracks I'm gonna quote an American folk song from the 60s, and I might quote it on the other one we're gonna record over Christmas break a little bit, and then I'm gonna have narration at the end and a bunch of other stuff I'm mixing in. So yeah.
I really do like spoken word over music for some reason. It's just, I don't know, it always works for me.
Yeah,
like a well-read excerpt. Like just music is playing, boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, bam, and it's just like something, right? And then the narrator is like, and then the children went to see the witch's house. Like, and you're like, oh shit.
Witches.
Yeah, or you could also just go all the way and become character Angren and have like an excerpt that you just like tell a story.
Yeah, where I act it out.
Yeah, act it up and be like...
Now that I have the recording input and the microphones and everything, like, I don't even have to worry about doing that in front of a sound engineer. You know?
Yeah, I just go like crazy all the way, get into a character. Just, you know, like, fuck you, like... Yeah! Don't tell me what to do!
I mean, I'm pretty excited to see what happens.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And we're recording Leaves in Blood as well. So that we'll have one metal song, and then Tonight My Sleep Will Be Lonely and Leaves of Blood on a single, and then when I graduate we'll finish out the rest of the album.
Yeah, sounds like a bit. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk what you've actually been doing.
Well, I think first we should decompress you from Inktober.
Alright, yeah, so here's the deal. I've been doing Inktober, like we said in the past. You decided to do NaNoWriMo in exchange. We're just shitheads. Let's just like, I really wanted an excuse and you really wanted an excuse, and we just gave each other an excuse basically.
Yeah.
But
we're complimentary shitheads.
Complimentary shitheads, yeah. But now that I'm done with Inktober, I tried to put my thoughts into words, and I realized that I cannot do it because it just doesn't. It didn't feel like actually how I felt, because I thought about it, and what I realized is that it's kind of like a failed experiment, in the sense that it's an experiment that didn't lead me to anything other than new discoveries for the next time I try something, which sounds like a failure, but really that's why you do it, to discover new shit, right? So I learned that, well, the one thing I really liked about this is I learned that Yeah, sure.
No, sorry.
I
It's
learned
just,
that.
he stopped talking in the moment right where I fucked up on that piece. So it was like right out there in the open.
Oh, nice. Good
Thanks,
pointing
man.
it out.
Yeah, now everyone will look for it. Anyway, keep talking.
Yeah. So no one can hear any more fuck ups. Yeah. How I learned that I was always kind of scared of traditional media because, but
Mm-hmm.
fucking with it for like a month on a daily basis, I learned that no, it's something I can actually do. And since I've always had this like idea of eventually getting into traditional with like pencils and rendering and shit,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that does sound realistic now and something I can do. So
Yeah.
maybe in the far future I can get into like doing traditional pieces that are like gallery work or something.
Yeah, man.
But that's far off into the future. That's not necessarily like, right now it's something to think about. But the prospect of it being real and not just something that I thought about and considered it is good. And another thing that I just realized is that I am not like a fast, quick sketch kind of guy. Like you always
Mm-hmm.
see those cool guys. They're like, yeah, man, like you just whip out like a brush and do a thing quickly, and it's just like looks good. It looks
Yeah.
like unfinished but good. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool and all, but I realize that I'm more like a meditative, like calm, collected, just like slow rendering kind of guy. Like I still try to make my shit dynamic and not look like I set what to render and what not to render, what leave like kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, I just like I like spending time. I like polishing. I like thinking through stuff. I don't like just like I'm not the kind of guy who has like a very solid idea in front of their brain and they just like put it down with like a couple lines and it's just done.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can fuck with a page for like 2 hours and only then I'll come up with something that I think is like a good idea to draw. Maybe it's just like a testament to how uncreative I am when it comes to like solutions and thinking.
Mm.
Like some people just have like automatic cool concepts and ideas.
Yeah.
Like they always think about it maybe. But I don't know.
I think you can eventually get there, though. It's like how I have trouble coming up with things to write about.
I think that too, but I noticed something interesting. I used to think that this is like a thing because I don't think about it. And then when I sit down, I'm like, well, I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But when I would used to for like quite a while, I would just try and think about ideas and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the ideas that I come up with outside of the sketchpad or like my computer or anything are not the ideas I would have that come up while actually working. They're not like ideas that are applicable, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that I'm a very visual person. I like surprisingly, right? But I'm like super visual in the sense that what I want to tell, the story I want to tell, is a visual story. It's not like a narrative story.
Mm-hmm.
I like if it's something that you can just like a story that can just be told with words.
Yeah.
It's cool. Let's try to paint a picture of it because to me a picture is like more about rather than like a story.
Yeah.
Like that's why I never liked those like magic cards that are like, even when they get like all about narrative. I get that that's like a thing. I get why it exists, but they're not like interesting to me because the story is like so stupid and it's not like the story part is what matters because the imagery is still stupid too. Like yeah, it might look amazing, but it just looks boring. It's like I'm cool. That's what it tells me, right?
Yeah.
Visually, it doesn't tell me anything. There's no like interesting contrast or like impact from just like the visual element alone. Like if I remove any association with like human anatomy or like what this character is or what the narrative behind this is, it just doesn't make anything like better. Like unless like the only thing that saves it for me, if it's like really well done, sometimes just really good technique can like make it interesting, because if you have really good technique, you're just like, when you have like strong fundamentals, you just rely on strong fundamentals to make a good visual impact.
Yeah.
That's why like very good live drawings always look good, because it's not because like you're bored looking at like naked ladies and dudes. It's just because this shit just looks good, and if it's done really well, it will always look good. It's like fucking eggs and bacon, man.
Yep.
If you don't fuck it up, it will always be good. And that's why some of those things work, but only because they have strong foundational skills. But what I'm saying is, like, I don't care about that. And I have trouble coming up with those ideas. How can I come up with visual ideas in my mind while I'm not trying to work with visual medium? And if I do come up with an idea, how do I store it in my brain? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I'm trying, what do I want to write? Like paint, right? I will come up with like a story or a narrative or characters or something, and then I realize, well, that's all great and all, but visually, it's not what I want to tell. It's not the story I want to tell as an artist in a visual medium. And when I try to think about that, then the only thing to do is to sketch it out quickly, like maybe a thumbnail, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only solution I have, is always walk around with like a fucking little sketch pad. But
Yep.
that just turns me into one of those people. You know?
One of those people.
But it's still something
like
cool.
The typewriter
Yeah,
in
the
the coffee
people...
shop type of person.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm an artist, you see, I have this notepad for me when I have ideas.
Just to get off on a tangent.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I am subscribed to the typewriters subreddit because I'm a weirdo. But there's one thing on there that pisses me off.
Well, you're just a fetishist for typewriters, and as long as you admit that, that's okay.
I like them. Sometimes the noise, like the ding, helps me like get into a zone and a rhythm when I'm writing. But there's one thing on here which I will always, and it's something called, no, there are two things, or something like that, where you just like go out in public with your typewriter and bother people with your loud ass typewriter. And then the other one is, apparently there are people who will busk. You know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are people who will busk.
For the benefit of someone who might not know what that is, yeah, you should probably...
Busking is like when you sit outside. Usually it's people...
First of all, usually it's a musician.
Yeah, and they'll
busking.
Sit outside of like a farmer's instrument case on the ground, and you throw money in it, and then you get to pay for parking. At least that's what happened to me and Nick when we busked Celtic music. But you can also, some buskers will like be super poor visual artists who will draw you a little caricature. Some will be dancers. Some will be blah 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 blah. Apparently there are people who will just sit out on a little bench or something with a typewriter and then like write a little poem on the spot for someone who pays them 50 cents or something. And it's like, I don't know, it just seems really A, pretentious, B, really undervaluing the worth of a poem in general if it's actually good. And then C, if you happen for some reason to get a bunch of people one after the other, something that isn't basically the same as what you wrote last time after a while, you know? Are you alive? Technical difficulties with Anton. It all went quiet. Alright. Let's redo this. Anyway, till we get Anton back, just sitting out in public anywhere with your typewriter is stupid.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So I thought that. See, like that's the thing. Yeah, you're talking about being kind of like obnoxious with the typewriter, right?
Mhm.
But I do still want you to like go out and meet writers, just so you can tell me about it and we can laugh about it.
Well, I mean,
like I'm so disappointed.
In that case, do you want me to go to like a meetup for writers or like an actual thing for writers, like WordStock?
No, like a meetup, yeah. So it's like extra juicy bad.
God, there was one.
Like, and actually,
I think we were talking.
You might actually.
Yeah, I was like, there was one I almost joined, where it was at the tea shop in downtown Vancouver. And I went there once, and I'm glad. Well, first off, I'm glad I didn't join that meetup because it would have been bullshit. Second off, I'm glad I didn't join that meetup because that tea shop was so like overpriced with tiny portions that they just went out of business, and now they're I bought a shredded chicken sandwich. I don't have visuals for here. It was like a slider. It was like maybe a 2-inch wide bun, and then a tiny little pot of carrot like curry, and that cost me $20. And then on top of that, they would take cards, but they were like, we prefer a cash or check. And like,
that's so weird.
I don't get why businesses still exist, at least in the US and Canada, that
did you say check?
Yeah, that's the other one. Is like, who the fuck is gonna go out to a restaurant and write a check nowadays? But what was that?
Trying to pay with a check.
Like,
yeah.
God, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Play sucked.
Yeah, the food.
So didn't go.
The food was good. I will say that, but the portions were way too small. And if you're gonna have portions that tiny, and still charge me $20 overall for my quote unquote meal, like it.
Well, now, this is where I ask: was it tiny because it's European, or was it tiny because you're American?
It wasn't European. It was fucking hippies.
Well then. Because American portions are huge, is what I'm saying.
No, I'll show you a picture of how small it was. I'll draw a little diagram.
All right. Okay. Anyway, see, yeah, I want you to go. See, if you go to like an actual writer, like what?
Word stuff.
It would yeah, word stuff. Yeah. Actually meet like a person for networking reasons that might be helpful.
Yeah, well, and the other thing they have there, I think they have a thing where you can meet with an agent for like 2 or 3 minutes or something like that, and give them a log line, which is basically where you tell them like the barest essence of what the novel that you've actually written is about, and then they'll let you know if they're interested or not.
Yeah, that sounds cool. But yeah, I want you to actually go to like a shitty meetup just for the shits and giggles factor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like a thing.
Like,
I want fucking Stephen King incognito.
he does that, like the whole industry thing, but all he's doing is wearing the Groucho Marx glasses.
Yeah, like, and he says like, "Hi, I'm Josh," and he talks like with an accent that's clearly fake or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm Jim. I'm here to become a writer. It's my dream. and then like doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, and he tells him about his fanfic. He's like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna become a cool writer. I have a Slenderman story.
Oh my god. Oh my god,
There we
that
go.
guy.
I just reminded you. Okay, now tell us the story.
Okay. So when I was living with our very good friend Marcus.
We were both there, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Matt was there because Matt had to stay with us for like a week in between moving to his new apartment. And like,
yeah,
Marcus had an acquaintance, I'll say, who needed a place to stay. It was supposed to be for like a month maximum. He tried to stay longer, and we were like, dude, no, you don't even go to work or anything. But setting that aside, he had this like composition book that he had handwritten in with really, really bad grammar and just worse handwriting than me, which is quite a feat. Of like of a Slenderman fanfic, and he said, I quote, this is an actual quotation that someone actually said. He said, the plan is to get this published and become famous.
Become famous.
Fanfic.
Even if you like publish it online and get like online cred and become like #1 known person on like No Sleep or something, which is not gonna happen with like a Slenderman fiction, unless it's like Alan Moore level of good, unless it's like Alan Moore level of appropriating an idea. Even then, that's not gonna help you. People who are on No Sleep, who are famous and known, still struggle with bills and everything. That's not gonna fucking help you. Like, it helps you get people read your stories, but that's not enough. It's a start. It's a great start, but become famous like that. I love
my favorite was just how he was just like, I'll just get it published. I'll just do it.
Yeah, you just. If it's online, you really literally just do it.
I think he thought he thought he would get like an actual physical market release.
Well, maybe that's just us wanting to imagine he meant the worst thing because we just kind of like to laugh at him. He is the guy who said you do crazy things for love.
Oh my god.
Yeah, when somebody asked him about.
He messed up his bass somehow and wanted me to repair it, and it was easy. I don't remember what it was, but I fixed it, and then I was like, hey, why are these like giant gouges in your pickups here? And he said, again, another quote that someone... Oh, I was playing my bass with a knife.
Yeah. Oh, fucking edgy, artsy fartsy people. I like it so much. It's the best.
I don't think he was like pretentious enough to be called artsy fartsy. I think he was just stupid.
That's stupid.
He was just edgy and dumb.
Yep. Well, he did come from like a super tiny small town full of people who know better.
Incoming video call.
Yeah, I know about that.
I'm in this video call.
So what I want to say, now that I'm done with Inktober, you are actually on your 5th day of Inktober. No, NaNoWriMo.
Inktober Part 2, November edition.
Yeah. The Inktober November. I don't even fucking know. Yeah, no, with writing. So how's that coming along?
It's coming all right. I think part of the problem is I didn't really. I didn't think the timing through. I just didn't think about the timing at all. Period. We've got this giant John Corigliano concert coming up at school, so I've been there like so much rehearsing, and I'm just exhausted when I. And I think I have a pretty good premise, and I've been working. I'm at I think
you don't want to reveal the premise, right?
7,000 words, I think. No, not yet.
Okay.
Let's see. Project. I'm at 7,100 words right now, which means I'm a little bit ahead of track, which is good. I basically have to average about 1,700 words a day, which isn't that bad. But one difficulty I'm running into, rather, is this short story that I was hoping to be done with before NaNoWriMo started. I didn't finish, so I've already got my attention split a little bit because I need to finish that short story. And now, because my attention was already split, the second issue is because lately, at least, I've written so much genre fiction, so much speculative fiction, that the short story I'm working on is just, it's easier for me to get into the zone for, because the novel I'm working on is more just straight literary, I guess, which is just what people call a book when you can't shove it into a basic genre. Honestly, it doesn't mean it has more value than anything else. But it's
Do you think it's possible to use a genre element at this point?
Not in this one. No, it would feel way too out of place.
All right.
But what was I saying? Like, I used to mostly write slash, which is fine, and I don't know if I would call this, but like, the whole beginning definitely starts out that way, and because it's been now, I think, a couple of years since I've written something that doesn't have at least some speculative fiction element to it, I'm just finding it really hard to actively pull stuff out, or actively let the writing, and it's getting a little bit tiring, I guess, because I end up feeling like really foggy and head full of cotton. But I'm still making really good progress, and I think once I hit like some actual drama, I'll probably start writing
Pick it
at
up.
a quicker pace. Yeah.
Here's what I discovered with Inktober. Technically, it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be time consuming, but what I discovered is I have standards which like, I know this sounds like me joking, but I know that I want to like put in something that doesn't, like, it's okay if it's something small, right? But even something small, I want it to be kind of like okay, you know. And unfortunately, my least amount of effort is not good enough, you know.
Yeah.
For my standards, which is why it becomes a problem, because if it was something like just like a stick figure a day, I would do that no problem. You just do it quickly and forget about it, right? But because I wanted to be good enough, and I was discovering what that meant throughout the process, the problem was that, yeah, I want something simple, but even something simple becomes something problematically difficult, or like at least like time consuming relatively to what I want it to be. It's like at least an hour or two, because I want to put some rendering in just to like show off a little bit, you know. do something, make it like look like I put some effort. I wanted to have like a certain level of standard. Like I make it worse for myself. Like yeah, like it sounds like 1,000 something words is not too big. Yeah, but you don't want any 1,000 something words. You want 1,000 something words you can like save and be like, yeah, those are the words I want here.
It reminds me of something I read in one of the writing subreddits by someone who wasn't a shithead. They're talking about how they were in like an JIT, and like they were one of the people who tried to like pull the symbolism out of everything, no matter who the author was and no matter what the like actual context of a sentence was. And like the dude was like, in me having actually written some stuff, I said, you know, he probably didn't put much thought into this when he was writing it, and if he did, it would have been more obvious with the general motifs of the actual piece. And then the person was like, no, you don't understand. Writers agonize and deliberate over every single word they write. And like that, it's just not true. That's like so off. It's kind of funny to say that.
Well, I do think they agonize, but not like that.
It's the agony more comes when you're come out of you onto the page.
Yeah, that when it's like that, because nothing sounds true. It's not because you like try to make every word mean something.
Yeah.
Now here's something I want to say. Do you think that is okay, but you need to make a clear distinction, like in music?
Well, yeah, I've never disregard people seem to have for like literary analysis. I do think it has its place. It's just
way.
Yeah, the problem I think arises with this extreme focus on symbolism, when really there have only been a few writers who consciously put symbolism into a work. That doesn't mean any symbolism you find is wrong, but instead of saying, here's what I see here, what do you guys see, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Like, they'll be like, this is what this is about. And it won't be a piece like that Herman Melville piece about the paper mill where everything was white and the girls were white and everything was getting covered with the paper dust because at the time white was the color of funerals and death. That one is obviously symbolism. You just have to understand the historical context of it. It's like when a professor will take like a more modern, even slightly pulpy book that might be older and just be like, this is what this means, and like you're just wrong.
Well, even no, I mean you can have symbolism because there is such a thing, like there.
Yeah.
And
well,
it doesn't like it's a personal symbolism.
I guess what I'm getting at is like what Gaiman said in the introduction to Fahrenheit 451, the 60th anniversary edition, I want to say, something like that. But he said, if someone says what a book is about, they're probably right. If someone says that that's all the book is about, they're definitely wrong.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And I honestly I haven't run into many literature teachers who did pull that card. I think there has been more of a shift. Yeah, I think there's been more of a shift to realizing that the symbolism you'll find in a piece of any art will be fairly individual. Like the death of the author idea, which I don't fully subscribe to, but it does kind of make sense in the analysis world, which is the idea that you as an author, no matter what you intended when you wrote a piece, once your work is out there, it doesn't matter what you meant, because people are gonna ascribe their own meanings to it. Like I said, I don't fully hold on to that ideology because it does still matter. Intent matters even if you find something else in a work. And then the other thing that's gained a lot of popularity, not gained, I think it's always been there, but I didn't hear about it until pretty late, when I was still double majoring in English and music, which is like, fuck, what was it? I'm drawing a blank now. This is the worst time we're broadcasting.
You know, while you're thinking about it, I don't know, I think I fully do subscribe to the death of the author idea. I don't think intent matters as long... Well, I think it matters, but it's your job as an author to translate your intent into words. So if it doesn't come across, it's your problem. Like, because I just imagine like this. Imagine there's like a really, really racist fucking like author who wants to write a book about how it's totally the right thing to be a racist, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But because they're so like clumsy or something, like it accidentally becomes the opposite of what the intent is, and it becomes a perfect example how racism is bad. His intent was the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to show this and read this as the like as if it was like a satire almost, right? But the intent was pure.
Yeah.
As you know, like I think that in that case,
say for anyone competent and not crazy, like, you should take the author's intent at least a little bit into account. It doesn't mean you're wrong for finding something else, and you can completely disagree with the author's intent, but to say that it just doesn't matter at all, I think, is the thing I don't agree with.
In that case, I want to ask you, what do you mean by take author's intent? Where do you take that from?
Well, just in literary analysis classes are like the history of a work, and from that knowledge that you would have discussed beforehand.
Well, I get it, but see, I do believe the context is important. But what I don't believe in. This is coming from me, coming from like a background of experiencing like the art circle, the kind of thing where you have like a piece and then there's a little plaque next to it, right? And I subscribe to the idea if that your piece should speak for itself.
Well,
if someone is like, if you start explaining to people what your piece is, you failed. Like, you should be able to say what you want to say with the piece. Now I think like, unless like you need to provide the context, sometimes that's important because not always you'll have.
Yeah,
for example,
to take Fahrenheit 451 as another example. Nowadays, a lot of people who don't know the historical context where Bradbury was coming from take the book as completely to be about government censorship. If you know the context of the fact that TVs had overtaken the radio, and he saw, seemingly from the outside at least, people's attention spans grow shorter, and I think the theme is more relevant today, where there's a section in the book where the fire chief talks about how it was actually the people that pushed for that censorship because the media needed to appeal to literally everyone. So, and the passage was pretty powerful. It was something like, new research comes out about nicotine being harmful and causing cancer of the lungs, which offends and scares people, so we burn that. And then literature later comes out about something else and offends other small group, and we have to burn that. And like they just keep eliminating stuff that someone gets up in arms about until there's nothing left, and just the idea of books has scared the people so much that they didn't even need to make books illegal. It would have happened on its own.
How topical. Did you read that thing about the humongous lady?
Oh god, I heard she made a response video. Anyway, getting I think they're teaching the intentional fallacy more, which don't directly quote me on this if you're still in academia, because I've been out of time now, but it was the intentional fallacy is where you commit the fallacy of believing that the same person in the book, like whatever narrator is in the book, is the same person as the author, which people make a lot. Sherman Alexie, in one of his books, one of the characters' fathers is abusive and dies or something, and like a lady, when he was doing a book tour, and she raised her hand and started crying and was like, "I'm so sorry about your dad," and then he was like, "What are you talking about? My dad's sitting right next to me right here." I don't know. It was so.
People assume a lot.
And, I mean, invariably, a writer's going to put a little of themselves into any character, because they're, as much as that character is another person, it's still informed by whatever and whoever the author is. But that doesn't make the character the author.
Yeah. It doesn't mean you're like a rapist or a serial killer or like
any more than like an actor who's being... It's, yeah.
Like, it's something... How could you draw that? How could you, like... film? What happens in your brain that you do that?
And that one gets to another thing that I've had trouble with for a while, which is this idea, and I don't know if it's... There seems to be the idea growing more and more that things that are art, you feel good and blah blah blah. And part of the problem is that's what people say about art, is it's beautiful and it makes you feel great inside and all this shit. I think that's true. Like art can and should sometimes be ugly and so that you kind of look at something from a darker perspective and really analyze.
What I think, art shouldn't be anything. Art should be anything. You know, like it's art doesn't. It gets into
dangerous territory to try and say what can and can't be art.
I think it's safe to say the only thing that art should be is to be good, as in well crafted.
Yeah.
Like whatever you're trying to say, whatever the art is trying to do, if it's even trying to do anything, it needs to do it well.
Yeah.
Because what's the point if it's not doing well what it's supposed to be doing? Like, that's the only thing. As long as it's like the intention is well delivered, that's like going back to the intention part. Like, what are you trying to say? Then, yeah, that's the only thing it needs to be doing. And everything else is just bullshit. Like, it doesn't have to do anything else. It's cool if you can make something that's, like, grotesque and gory and awful and talks about serial killers, but you can also make it, like, appealing to everybody. Somehow. It would be cool, I don't think that's possible. But if you could, it's great. I don't think it's something you could do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Hannibal TV show is kind of sort of trying to do that, but I still think it's grotesque, like gory, horrible things as if something beautiful.
I would say Dexter has apparently done that better in terms of just capturing the public.
I don't know. Dexter kind of process, and I have a bone to pick. Yeah, I have a subjective bone to pick with Dexter specifically. I don't fucking buy Dexter. Like, he starts off well, but his character is just so. I feel like it's so over the place, and not for like acting. Acting, I think, is actually kind of good, but writing, like, one moment he's like, "I'm the creature of the night." The next time he's like, "Oh no, emotions." like what? Like, he talks about how he feels nothing, how he's like this horrible monster who doesn't know how to feel. But then again, you could argue he thinks so highly of himself. He has these ideas about what he's like, right? You know. But then that's not how like it's presented. It's presented as if like and that's cool and everything, but it's not what happens. Like, season 1 is cool. Season 2 is kind of like, alright. Season something else that has the Trinity killer is interesting because it shows a very interesting killer, and it's really not about Dexter, it's about someone else. Like, it becomes more like a Batman story. Like, fuck Batman, this villain is all awesome. Like, that's what it's about. I'm kind of disappointed that Dexter did not go that way, because it started with Dexter being interesting, and the very interesting thing about him is that it had like a villain that was a mirror of himself in a way. Like, yeah, his first like arch nemesis, another serial killer, was like Dexter minus his code. So we'll see who's right, you know. The second season is cool because Dexter's nemesis is himself, because they're trying to like figure out who is the killer, and that's him. So that's an interesting story, right? It becomes more about the characters, but the characters are full of shit, and no one is like a. You know how like in Hannibal they have serial an artist that are just like insane, and it's all like artsy fartsy interesting. It's not particularly deep, but at least it's like compelling as far as ideas go. Like, this dead woman inside a dead horse, so she could be born again, or something like that. Yeah, like, or this person
inside a dead whale
horse. Yeah. Come up with like interesting characters that are not developed necessarily, but just the ideas themselves are awesome, and the visual imagery is too, like, it's cool too. But in Dexter's just like, this guy is gonna kill, and now it's all about how, oh, he's the killer too, but he's not good enough of a killer. Let's see if he can get enough of a killer good in him. Oh no, he cannot. Drama. Give us like a fucked up killer, but it becomes like just kind of gory and not actually interesting. The only one time they succeeded was when they had like a Trinity killer, and this guy was like so fucked up and had like such a like a very compelling and interesting method. Seen that, right? No? Okay, let me explain. They call him the Trinity killer because there's a serial killer who kills 3 people in a certain order, in certain conditions, and it's always the same scene, and they're so random that nobody thinks it's the same killer, except for like one FBI agent who had it's the same pattern of 3 murders happening and again. Like, that place, I don't remember exactly. But how it ended up being, it's like this guy who is a serial killer, and he was traumatized as a kid, and he had 3 deaths happen in his life in a certain order, like his. He is recreating those 3 events continuously, but because they're like not connected, they just happen to him. You know, like not really connected. He just repeats them and like himself, like he keeps like killing women in the shower because that's how his mom died or something. I don't remember, but you cannot like it's very hard to connect. And more importantly, that guy has a family. And his family kind of knows, or at least suspects, like it's a sociopath ruling the house kind of situation. And when we discover that, it's pretty fucked up. And it becomes like a Batman story because we don't care about Dexter anymore. He's more like a vessel for us to explore this fucked up character doing fucked up shit. And it was awesome. And then no one ever did that again. See, that's sad. Batman knows what it's about. You can only go so far with the hero, quote unquote. Unless you do some changes. If you need to keep the hero the same way, like if it's like a hero like in a comic book, it's a status quo, it's gonna get boring. It's not about a hero anymore. You have to be about the villains. You know?
Yep.
Unless you can change the hero. Like if you can like break the status quo, then yeah, you can develop it and make it interesting. We talked about the NaNoWriMo. We talked about the crazy lady who made a response to Humongous and was walked out of the court. Yeah, I don't... We see how men of color used to intimidate women of color into silence. Joshua screamed while getting whisked out of the room. ALC Hall. After a crazy rant. To be fair, this is something you would expect. You know, a person reacting like that to that. He's not like he tried to fucking fuck with you. He was just like made a fucking lame joke.
Yeah, he made a dad joke. Like the worst.
It's so
joke.
lame. It's not even. It's absolutely the worst joke. It's not like even funny. It was so lame that how can you even take it seriously?
You know what I would have said since if she asked me what my name was? None ya business.
Beautiful.
And I would have walked away. And if she tried to say that was sexual harassment, I would kick her right in the fucking teeth.
Yeah, I mean, man, there's no way.
No.
Are you trying fucking rape me? No. Here's the thing. This is, you know what this is like? This is like someone like a bully coming up to you, right? Hate you. Your mom is so fucking fat. I fucked her in the fucking like butt from my own room across the street. You know, I don't know, like just like being offensive. And then like it touches you and you're a nerd and you're like a stupid weak piece of shit and you're like, well you're dumb. And then you said what? I'm dumb? It's just like,
you're dead meat.
That's what it. Yeah, you're dead meat. Like, dude. Like it's like that Starbomb rap battle where like Ken tries to rap battle and it's so bad that it's like not even on the level. It's kind of funny, but then that is actually taken as a legit response. You know? Mm-hmm. Can you lose me? Can you lose to me in a rap battle? Sure you can. And he's like, oh, you fucking said what, bitch? Like, humongous. What? Are you serious? Is this sexual harassment? Oh my god. Well, I mean, can you come back from that? I guess at this point you just gotta go all the way. Be like, yeah, like fuck it, I'm crazy. Like, I'm gonna go all the way in social justice.
Guess I gotta do this now.
Guess I'm into this. Yeah, like there's one thing I'm famous for, and it's this. If I just stop and admit my mistake and go like, okay, I was kind of dumb, and everyone will forget about it.
Well,
Now I have. There's oh my god. There's a ooh. There is a news article. A news article. And I'm just gonna copy paste it to you, and you try to read it, okay?
Okay.
I'm not editing anything. That is legit how the news article is.
How the news article is. His ampersand # 8216 # 8217 semicolon junk to ampersand NBSP kids.
No, someone fucked up the formatting there, didn't they?
Yep.
That bullshit is legit inside the title.
Oh.
In
That's
the
why
middle of
you.
it,
That's
like,
why you always click
plain old
preview
text.
before you publish.
Yep. But hey, who cares about proofreading?
Yeah.
You know what I like? I love fact checking. I love that it exists. You know what doesn't exist in Russia? In Russian journalism? Fact checking. Yeah.
Ethics.
Although sometimes I feel like in the States it's also optional.
Oh.
Like we have actual journalism that
Yeah, there used to be a
actual
standard
news
of
that no one-
ethics, and then internet journalism, quote unquote, like BuzzFeed, kinda.
well, it's not the problem with the fact that it's like it's gone. It's still there. It's just like it's taken over by more like fast food news, and they're winning over because they're not doing all the shit. Last I heard, BuzzFeed was going down.
Oh
Well,
yeah, they should
not
be.
BuzzFeed, but like
Gawker.
not BuzzFeed, but Gawker. Yeah. What's up with that? Did that happen? Did they lose? I've heard that.
Hulk Hogan succeeded in his lawsuit, obviously. So they're bankrupt now.
Guess what?
Huh?
Oh geez. This is a post from 22nd of the 8th month, which is August. And the news says that Gawker.com is shutting down today, Monday 22nd, August 2. Years after it began and 2 days before the end of my 40s. It is the end of an era.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
an era.
Well, sure, but doesn't Gawker own like BuzzFeed and stuff? Or what happens? Like, are they
Gawker
sold now to something?
owns Kotaku and some other stuff. I don't know.
Yep. All right. Univision will continue to operate Gawker Media's 6 other websites: Deadspin, Gizmodo, Jalopnik, Jezebel, Kotaku, and Univision had since deleted all comments on Gawker articles. Oh no, and Lifehacker. Oops, I skipped the line. Yep. Okay, so Gawker is dead. Interesting. Cool.
Nice.
Does that mean it will stop the websites publishing bullshit?
At least some of them, hopefully. Hopefully.
You think?
Hopefully.
Why? Why would it?
Because they were, like, one of the only sources of actual revenue for that kind of bullshit.
Yeah. In other news, this is very important news. This is the one thing everyone is talking about. Overwatch has unleashed, officially announced, new hero with the new short video, and it's a new character you can play in Overwatch. This is very interesting to all of us, and we're super excited. We're super interested. Her name is Sombra, and now that I'm gonna turn off.
Uh,
This new character is Mexican. Like she's like a Mexican hacker, and it's kind of cool because if you see her, nothing about her design tells you that she's Mexican, and I love that because everyone says like everyone was talking about how she's supposed to be like this Mexican hacker, or like at least Latino. And
Latina.
yeah, okay, that's. She's supposed to be like at least a Latina, but everyone was pretty sure she was
sorry,
Mexican.
I mean, this is the new era. She's Latinx or Latinat sign.
I don't fucking know what you're talking about.
When they put like an X or an at symbol at the end, because you shouldn't gender someone, even though a gendered language does not mean assigning necessarily a gender to a thing. Like, you completely fuck up the grammar by doing that.
You shouldn't gender a person who gender you know. What?
How do you
The
know?
fuck are you talking about?
It's usually for like the blanket group because they don't understand that like, sure, one dude in a group of like 50 females will change the word from Latinas to Latinos, but like it's just understood through the grammar that because it's a group that doesn't mean that they're all men. Like the words are gendered, but like the language isn't, if that makes sense.
Oh my god, this is some grade A bullshit. I just cannot even think about it anymore. Like, this is like, I don't want to live in that world. Anyway, so she's a Latina, or like, pretty much everyone knew that she's Mexican, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a shithead, you would expect like a sombrero with a computer or something. With like a poncho and like, ay caramba, I don't even know what would. Yeah, a little donkey, of course, like a hacker, Mexican hacker. She looks nothing like that. She is absolutely like nothing about her. Well, like she's like slightly darker skin, rather than like a Norwegian pale princess or something, you know. But because like their art style has this like Disney face, it's hard not to make faces that are like, you know, like perfect. They have one like character from, oh man, I forgot where she's from. Like a Greek girl, I think. I completely forgot. But she actually looks like where she's from. Like a little bit. They put like effort into her like face anatomy. Oh man, where she's from? She's supposed to be from. Oh right, fuck! I'm a stupid Greek. What the fuck am I talking about? She's supposed to be Indian. And they actually like she still has the perfect Disney face, but her face anatomy is like more square rather than like other characters, so it actually feels more like an Indian person. But mostly they're like hard to tell. Like their anatomy is all like perfect Disney one. Like, you know, like how like the biggest difference is like look at Jasmine from like Aladdin. She's like barely barely Middle Eastern. Yeah, but apart from that, it's kind of like cool that she has nothing to do until she starts speaking. Because then when she starts speaking, she sounds like totally like a Mexican character. And another thing that's interesting, she keeps booping people, like that cute Tumblr bullshit, like boop on the nose. Except the way she does it is the way Magnuson from like the finale of season 3 of Sherlock like licks people to show dominance and control over them. Except this is her like PG-13 version. You don't care about Overwatch.
Not
I know
one
that.
bit.
Tell us why.
I don't like competitive shooters. That's it.
Why? All right, let's put it this way. Have you ever tried playing like a? Was there ever like a point when all of your friends tried to play like Counter-Strike or something, and you're like, and you tried it and it wasn't fun or something?
Yeah, every single time.
I'm trying to get a story out of you.
I don't like Halo competitive. I don't like Counter-Strike. I don't like Team Fortress.
Well, what was the game that people tried to get into?
Especially Team Fortress was the one that people really tried. And like I don't dig it, man. I don't like competitive gameplay in general. I like co-op.
See, here's my thing, right? With Team Fortress, I thought that it looked great and the characters were funny. Like, you know, like they're fun. They're like cartoon characters. They're kind of cool, right? Would you agree with that? Right? And it's that. And you're like, well, this is not something I like. Right? See, a lot of people keep like following Team Fortress just because they update, like they release videos and make like comics and shit. But they like stopped playing years ago. See, I'm kind of like that with that because I really appreciate the game, but I completely do not care for it. Somehow I tried playing Overwatch and did not hate it completely. Like I liked it more than what do you call it? Well, yeah, I preferred it more than Team Fortress because I don't know, like I really like picking the Russian buff muscle character lady and just shouting "I'm Mother Russia" all over the place and kicking everyone's butt because this is a sad reality. She's like the one character I control the best, and I really hope play Street Fighter, and it just happens that my like the one character I'm naturally best at is Zangief. Like I just can't do anything about it, man. It's just like that's just how it is. It's almost sad. And she's supposed to be difficult to play, but to me, like she's like the most natural thing. But I don't like. This is the thing that I found tragic. Overwatch world is so boring. See, I thought like art direction and style in Team Fortress was like fun in that way. This is like too Disney's, too PG-13. It's like the most like it's cool. It looks awesome. It looks like the fucking sci-fi awesome like collection of different styles of heroes characters. They have the edgy person, the chubby weeaboo dream, the fucking mecha character. Cowboy and the Cyber Ninja, and that's cool and all, but
just to warn you. Okay,
beautiful, but shallow. Like the story is so like fucking fighting game level story. It's bullshit. Like there's nothing happening. It's completely boring, and like the game is fun, but it's like the most like shallow and just like there's no blood. It's I don't know if it's PG-13. I think it doesn't even feature that. I think it can be like less than PG-13. You know what I mean? That's probably why I've been playing Quake games for like past like week. Really need that jib, you know, action. I want to shoot a grenade launcher and see people like fly apart. No, like even in like shooters, like in Call of Duties and everything, you don't like even if you throw a rocket launcher, no one like falls apart and should meat chunks. Where's the horror? Where's the blood? What is this? You call this blood? This little poof of red? It's not blood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why can't Overwatch be like full of blood? There you go. That's I know it's gonna ruin everything for everybody, so it's like a highly subjective opinion, but there you go. Now here what is a game you've been playing and you care about and want to talk about for a sec?
Man, I haven't played that many games recently. Well, I did finish
Yeah,
the
you
new
have been
Deus
playing
Ex,
Persona.
and
Yeah, what do you think about
and
it?
Persona. Um,
How far are you in the Persona 4?
Persona 4. I'm about to get the idol girl whose name I just forgot. Rise? Something like that?
So, yeah, Risa. She's like cool. I like her.
Yeah, so I'm about to get her, because Persona and Shin Megami Tensei are always about, like, puberty and suppressed sexuality and stuff. Rise's, like, dungeon thing is obviously, like, a strip club.
Yeah, it's highly sexual.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, I don't know. I kind of like the dude who's trying not to be gay the most.
Oh, yeah, his was great.
Yeah, his character is so. Here's the thing I don't understand. Is he gay, or is he like just feminine?
I
Like I'm still confused.
I don't
I
know.
think he's straight. Maybe
I
he's
think
bi.
it does get explained that he's straight, but I have a feeling like in real life, um, he would probably turn out to be at least bi. Although, I mean,
No, it's yeah. See, that's the thing.
maybe he
He's
was
trying
just
to.
confused. I mean, he was only, even though he sounds like
Oh
he's
man, fucking
35 and he has a receding hairline and muscles the size of Texas, he's only 15.
dude. That
So,
well, it's always the case. Well, as we know, in my favorite anime slash manga in the whole world, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the guy who fucking crushes buildings and is a fucking shit brick house, the titular JoJo, in the Stardust Crusaders specifically, but all of them included, they're all fucking Schwarzenegger level Terminators, but all of them are fucking high school students. They are like 16 best.
mhm.
Like the guy, like the fucking Jotaro, I think he's 17, like no more than that. House, and he's the most like yada yada this like kind of guy in the world. And he has a deep voice, and he
Mhm.
fucking looks at you, and you're scared.
Well,
But he's
and
like 15.
the other one that gets me, like, and this one wasn't, I think, as self-aware as JoJo. And as much as I love the first couple seasons, Bleach is especially ridiculous in this regard, because of,
You mean like Ichigo?
yeah, Ichigo and Chad especially.
Okay, yeah, Chad definitely is the case. Well, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm thinking back to when I was in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually totally can get behind the high schooler who's giant,
Mm.
but and I like that, and I will explain why. But the whole reason why I would like how I would feel about that character is there is a reason why they're like that. They have been in that high school for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is not like they're not just 15, they're like 20. But they're still in high school because they're like a bad motherfucker, you know? They just like keep staying in the same year because I'm not sure how this is in the States, but in Russia if you fail you just do again and you do it forever.
They call it getting held back here. So
so here's
I think
yeah,
when I was still in Utah, our elementary school went up to 6th grade, and then the middle school was like 7th and 8th grade, and there was a 6th grader there who was, I think, like something crazy, like 16.
yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about, right?
So many fucking times, and like, dude, you're gonna be like 25 by the time you graduate high school, if you even.
Yeah, but
if you even
for a second,
progress.
stop and think. Yeah, but stop and think. How do you feel about that character while you're like in that school? Okay, because now you think, oh, what a stupid idiot, right? But if you're like a kid, imagine like you're 15, right?
Yeah.
And you're like in high school, you're like voices breaking. You trying to get over your fear of talking to girls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in the corridor, a giant shit brick house appears. Where's a trench coat? This is a nano. And he can like punch through a wall. That's how big his arms and muscles are. with you. That 20, okay? He does fuck girls because that's how cool he is. You know?
Mm-hmm.
You could say that's rape, maybe, I don't know. Like, but what I'm saying is, like, to you, that would be so intimidating and so scary. You know? So I like that. I like that idea of someone who was held back like a lot because they're like a bad motherfucker. Not because they're stupid, because that's kind of, well, maybe, but it depends on the character, right? But because they just don't give a shit to the point where they just don't give a shit and they're like being held up like someone else. And they're just like so bad, man. It's Michael Jackson bad. Like, and you're so scared because you're like a fucking dork, and this guy is not even just like a he's the guy who intimidates the bullies, you know, like he's the dude that scares the jerks and the jocks and everything.
Self.
Well, he's the ultimate bully. He's Bully X.
He's the bully king.
Have you played Condemned?
No.
In Condemned, you're hunting down a serial killer who
I know,
kills serial killers.
Back in those
Do
days,
you remember
I watched
what...
PewDiePie play it, so...
Yep, they call him Serial Killer X. Yep, that's so dumb. Okay. Alright, man. So how much have we done so far?
Hour and a half.
Alright, let's stop.
Well, hold on. There's one more important thing we must discuss. And it's something that boosts my ego. And
that's great.
Is the Two Cities Review podcast. Spooktacular episode.
Yeah, I remember. I've actually listened to that. Surprisingly.
Did you listen
you
to the whole thing?
You were featured on a podcast. No. Okay. I listened to the whole part that talks about you. I'm exclusively into stroking your ego, so you know. But yeah, you were featured on a podcast.
Yeah, for like a third of it.
Like a magazine podcast and featured. Yeah, like, well, not even. Like, it felt more like a half, I think.
It was like 11 minutes out of 33.
Yeah. It was like talking. See, that's what something like. Okay, I want to actually talk about that for a sec. The ladies, the editors, talked about how they were not sure if they wanted to feature you. And the reason they quoted is because it was
one
so
of them
graphic.
wasn't, and then Olivia, the other editor, fought for my case.
Yeah, but see, that's what I want to know. Obviously, they didn't talk about it like in detail, like what exactly did that mean, but they said it was too graphic, right? And
or gruesome.
I did not think it was too graphic. You know?
Yeah.
I thought it was pussy level violence.
Maybe we're coming at this from the angle of two blokes who grew up as metalheads, you know? Instead of two young women who went and got graduate degrees in English literature. I don't know what kind of music they listen to, but I would assume that if Sigh was really graphic for them, and one of them, later they talked about Stranger Things, and one of them talked about how it was pretty gruesome for her. Like, I don't think they grew up on a steady diet of, like, death metal and horror movies like I did, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah. But it's like, I want to believe this is not just me being desensitized. I want to believe this is just like an issue of you not handling what it takes, you know? Because that was not graphic. That was not like you just masturbating to violence.
Well, yeah, it wasn't like
you
Rivers
just
of Blood
said it like it is. Well, Rivers of Blood are fine when it's about rivers of blood going down, you know? When you're trying to show that there's like a demon god descending and he's a vampire king and there are literal rivers of blood, you know? Like, that's one thing. But if you have rivers of blood just because low-key, so to speak, to use the hip lingo of today, low-key, you are just like a fetishistic, like just for the hell of it. And then maybe if you're like not old enough, show off to your friends how cool you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. That's something that's like just wanking. I don't know. Like that story was not that. It had violence where there was supposed to be violence. You can't fucking cut to the side, like just like cut to the side of like with the camera, and it's just like a shadow will show you what happens, and you like just hear the like
I
of
think
something
that's
breaking.
probably
like,
your argument's probably, I have a feeling, the same argument Olivia, the editor who fought for my case, probably presented. I just have a feeling that the other editor is probably stomach in regards to violence. She's probably more like my mom, like to the point where just violence in general, if it's present like 100 feet away, like makes her shudder, you know?
Well, I do think it's good if that still bothers you because it shows that you're not so desensitized, you know what I mean? In the sense, like, it's good that you still feel emotions, like, it's good that you're still human, but I also think that, see, this is what I'm asking the question for. So then the two editors had an argument, and the argument, there are two arguments here. Which one was it? That you just have fetishistic violence for the sake of violence, or that this is too violent for our publication?
I think it was the second one, that it was too violent for their publication. Although they did talk about how it was still more in praise of my thing. Like one of the editors talked about how she doesn't just like the macabre and gruesome if it's just for its own sake, but she liked my story because it actually felt necessary. So I think that was separated from probably what squicked her out the first time. I think it was probably just that one editor has such an averse reaction to violence that it kind of affected her view of her ability to see the forest for the trees.
Here's a question for you. What was the part that they were talking about that was supposed to follow the... I forgot, like, after you finish recording?
Well, I looked at... Oh, God, that recording is so bad, too. But, I looked at my manuscript, and I think they're talking...
What was the one thing that... Yeah.
It's not right after. I think they might be talking about the sex scene. Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because they were, like, talking about violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing that popped in my mind was the bunny thing, because you know, that's the one thing.
The bunny was in there, so I think it had to have been the. Well, I mean, the shock. It was supposed to be shocking that all of a sudden, when the character reached out.
That's kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
It's also.
So I think
that
has to have been what they. To it because I wrote it and I also read it a billion times while I was editing it, so it doesn't affect me anymore. But I can imagine like just reading it along after having, if you happen to like bunnies, after having recovered from that and then getting another like smack in the face of an unexpected injury, an unexpected gruesome event, like I can see why that would be salient, you know.
Well, no. Well, they did. Your case was made, so it was not all in vain.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody gets it. Somebody gets it.
Yeah. They still haven't responded to my little comment I sent them, thanking them for their kind commentary, but they're probably pretty busy.
Probably too busy.
Yeah. Especially since they said their readership and their podcast subscribers have been steadily going up, so you know.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's just
alright, I think we should like start rounding it up and kinda finishing.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because it's
But
2 a.m.
it is. But before we go, I want to say one thing. I want to quote Total Biscuit, of all people, who just 1 hour ago posted this on the Twitter. He said, "Never stop. Run right through your haters. Pursue your passion." What we're gonna leave on. An inspirational quote. Perfect. With a definite punctuation.
Oh boy.
And
Who would have listened to
I don't know.
this?
see, I keep thinking it's different.
Anyway,
We're done?
if anyone was watching software, I have a feeling now. But if anyone watches this later, thank you as well. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye.